welcome to Fitness on Fire TV. I'm Josh Graves, I'm your host, and it's an honor today to be with Philippe Til, personal trainer, product inventor, and apparently fitness historian. Philippe, you translated a 100-year-old book. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, so this book is called The Natural Method, a practical guide to physical education. So you can just look it up in the Kindle store under The Natural Method. And I've essentially taken the works of Georges Hébert, who was a military fitness instructor. He developed a system that he codified, regulated, and systemized to create a fitness program that is geared at developing a well-rounded athlete, not just from a performance standpoint, but also from a pedagogical standpoint, as in teaching the method, so that you have that rare breed of instructor who has the PhD in anatomy, as well as the physicality of a spec ops operator, as well as the again, ability to teach a crowd, right? But he also wanted to make it accessible to everybody so that students can become teachers at the same time. And the development of a well-rounded athlete had the purposes of being not just for your own development, but from a civic standpoint. If you can defend yourself, you can defend your peers or your friends or your family, you can protect your community, which in turn allows you to protect your nation. So he had devised a system with a minimal aptitude requirement for physical fitness, which then became a standard in many countries, not just in the military. The method was created and tested on thousands and thousands of people. I think it's about 25,000 if I'm correct. And we're talking about all ages and demographics. And through a series of 12 labors, 12 tests, you can establish that minimal aptitude requirement, and then you can grow from there. And the interesting thing is that the minimum requirement gets you a score of 0, right? So depending on your age, you can get a negative score, but also based on your performance level, you get a negative score. Now, the higher the score is, the better, well-rounded the athlete. Now,
is there a top score?
I don't think there's a top score because there's no end to the top scale, because it will be the cumulative scoring of the 8 basic fundamental drills or functional drills that he's trying to develop, which are marching or walking. And in military, it's very important because it's also rucking. You also have your running, whether it's velocity or speed training for sprints or your endurance runs. Then you have your swimming. You have your lifting, heavy objects. You have your throwing of either heavy objects or rocks or smaller objects for hand-eye coordination, but again, fulfills a military martial functional standpoint. You also have your climbing drills that can be climbing a rope, climbing a wall, scaling a wall, overcoming fear of heights and things like that. You have your jumping, again, broad jump, with or without momentum, long jump, high jump, all of these various drills, and even hopping, skipping in place or in a small area. So all of these, and finally, you have the element of combat. So that's wrestling, boxing, and that includes sports and games, as well as rescuing drills, and just your basic manual labor. Whether it's working the field as a farmer, working the docks, working a warehouse, there's a physical element. And it's called a natural method because in the old days, the ability to develop a natural body just from your existence, whether it's an outdoors existence as a hunter-gatherer, your body is designed to develop harmoniously through those activities.
Movement.
Exactly, movement. And I find it interesting that over 100 years ago, the concerns and conveniences of modern then life are the same as today. I think today they've gotten a little bit worse.
Oh, absolutely. And it's something I was really guilty of as an athlete. As an athlete, I grew up with cleans, presses, squats, bench press, and I used to live by the barbell, and I thought that's all fitness was. And it wasn't until I actually got into the fitness industry and I started studying human movement a little bit more that I realized people were meant to do a lot more than bench press 300 pounds and squat 500 pounds. They were meant to run, jump, climb, swim, et cetera, et cetera. And so this sounds I think a lot of the dysfunction that we have nowadays in overall society, it comes from sitting and not moving a whole lot at all. And so getting into something where you train with a natural method like what you're talking about, I think that is where fitness should go if it's not on its way there already.
And absolutely, I believe it is on its way there because the impetus for me to write the book came from Dr. Ed Thomas, who's a fitness historian himself, and he's trying to pass on the torch. But I've been introduced to some of his work, and then I was fortunate enough to actually teach an Indian Club certification. And some of my fitness peers who also like to dig into history are researching the American body and methods like Stan Leprotti and the La Sierra High School project, which in 1962, after appearing on The Tonight Show, essentially revolutionized PE in the United States, and it became a standard. But I don't know if he lifted any of his methods from Georges Hébert or not, because Hébert himself quotes other sources. We can date as far back as the antiquity, the Roman legionnaire times, which back when fitness was functional and also had a martial component, which was warfare, to defend the country or to go and invade another country. You know, it was not just for the physicality and sports of the Olympics, which probably became secondary. And if you look at the three aspects of physical development or fitness, what Hébert talks about are the visual aesthetic, developing a harmonious, proportional body without excess. And I'm not attacking bodybuilders or mentioning that, but it's, again, that development. He also talks about that functionality. So we already talked about those 8 different aspects of training. And finally, there's the hygienic element. I mean, we're here at the 511 Tactical Headquarters, tactical strength apparel, created at first responders and special ops and cops and firefighters and all that stuff. And their motto is always be ready. The method is the same thing. You want to always be ready, again, to respond to any situation, any age, any skill. A 12-year-old child should be able to protect himself, defend himself, escape a hazardous situation, as well as rescue a peer of at least similar height and weight. And so it's a very universal method. And I know that in the marketing goals and fitness goals, we have to specialize and not go after too many niches. But if better movement is your goal, again, having a codified, systemized system where you have scalable progressions, a scorecard so you know where you're at today, where you're going to be next month, next year, and have an ideal to strive toward is very much part of the book.
So Philippe, again, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Well, thank you for giving me the platform.
I'm super excited to get my hands on your book. I think it's going to be awesome. I will be one of the first people to consume that entire content. But tell our audience, where can we find the book?
Okay. So for all of subscribers to Fitness on Fire's YouTube channel, I've created a special page on my website. So you're going to go to www.action-fitness.com/fitnessonfire, and there's a free PDF download for you on that page.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's great. So again, guys, you guys can get this book for free at
www.action-fitness.com/fitnessonfire.
Thank you so much for doing that for our audience. That's huge,
Absolutely,
Philippe.
my pleasure.
Again, we look forward to it. I know the content's going to be revolutionary to the fitness industry, so that's going to be huge for us. Even though it maybe is a 100-year-old book, I'm excited for the people today. They will be able to read it in English. That's great.
Well, remember, this is the kind of history that we want to repeat.
Absolutely. So thank you again so much.
Thank you.
So guys, this is Josh Graves one more time signing out from Fitness on Fire. If you guys like the content, do us a big favor. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You guys can also find us on all of our social media networks between Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're everywhere. And Philippe, just if you don't mind me asking, where else can we find you for your social media channels?
So of course, I've got my blog at action-fitness.com, and I will be teasing, like I have been so far, segments, chapters, pictures of the upcoming book due in January 2015. But you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Philippe Til. That's at PHILIPPETIL.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and ignite your passion for fitness.